Welcome back, fourth graders. I hope you enjoyed the first half of our story, The Gardener. We were working on that skill of inference, using the clues that we have to try to understand what the author is telling us, or making guesses about what the author is going to tell us. There is no wrong answer when it comes to inferring. You just use your clues and what you know already to make a guess. And then that's kind of the fun part about reading. You get to read on and see if you were on the right track or not, to see if you inferred correctly or not. Or maybe as you read on, you find out more and you change what you infer and you change your idea. Well, the first question asks us, why do you think Uncle Jim doesn't smile? I'll just share some of the things that my class told me. They said, maybe Uncle Jim doesn't smile because he's kind of lonely. He's lived by himself other than his store cat Otis and his two workers Ed and Emma Beach, so maybe he's just kind of sad and lonely. Well, that's a good inference. Another one said maybe he doesn't want to have Lydia come and stay with him. He's used to being by himself and he's not happy about having his young niece come and live with him. But there was even another inference that had nothing to do with people. It had to do with this picture here. Pretty smart. This clue that they give us in the picture is hard to sometimes pick up on. You might not have noticed, but the awning on the bakery looks like it's all falling apart and breaking down. And if you look, there's nobody really in the store and nobody going into the store. And it looks like it might be struggling, like the bakery is going to go out of business. Maybe that's what's happening and why Uncle Jim doesn't smile. He's stressed about his business. For the second one, what do you think Lydia Grace is going to try and do to make Uncle Jim smile? Some kids in my class, they just used this picture right here. And they said, well, Lydia's going to keep decorating and making Uncle Jim's house festive and feel happy. Maybe she's going to write some more poems. And one of those poems is going to finally make Uncle Jim smile. But using this picture and using what they read about the drawings and the poem and all the seeds that she's planting, that maybe she's going to try to cheer him up by doing those things. The last question, which might be the easiest one, and maybe the one that everybody will get right once we look further on in the story. What do you think Lydia Grace is going to try and do with those window boxes in front of the bakery? Right in front of this bakery, there's this box underneath the window. And most of the time, people have in those window boxes, they put plants and flowers. If you drive by some houses that have window boxes in the spring and summer, you'll see them filled with colorful plants and flowers. So since Lydia Grace loves gardening, most of my kids said, I bet you she's going to plant some flowers in that window box. I think that's a pretty good inference. Now, the thing about inferences is we don't know. Maybe we're right, maybe we're not. That's okay. That's the fun of reading, is to try to read on and find out, am I on the right track? Am I coming up with the right ideas about this story? The things that the author hasn't told me? That's when I have to infer. That's when I'm using inference. Well, let's go back into our story and listen on to some more as we finish off the second half of the story. So this is where we left off. Lydia's working on this secret place, she called it. You see her there coming up onto the roof. Otis is leading in front of her. But this secret place is the top of this building. It's the roof, and there's all kinds of garbage and things up there right now, but she's excited about something she wants to do with this, what she calls her secret place. Well, let's read on and find out more about it.
April 27th, 1936. Dearest Grandma, all the seeds and roots are sprouting. I can hear you saying, April showers bring May flowers. Emma and I are sprucing up the bakery, and I'm playing a great trick on Uncle Jim. He sees me reading my mail, planting seeds in the window boxes, going to school, doing my homework, sweeping the floor. but he never sees me working in my secret place. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. I'm planning on a big smile from Uncle Jim in the near future. May 27th, 1936. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, you should have heard Emma laugh today when I opened your letter and dirt fell out onto the sidewalk. Thank you for all the baby plants. They survived the trip in the big envelope. More about Emma. She's helping me with the secret place. Hurrah! Love to all, Lydia Grace. Yes, I saw Uncle Jim almost smile today. The store was full, well, almost full, of customers. June 27th, 1936. Dear Grandma, flowers are blooming all over the place. I'm also growing radishes, onions, and 3 kinds of lettuce in the window boxes. Some neighbors have brought containers for me to fill with flowers, and a few customers even gave me plants from their gardens this spring. They don't call me Lydia Grace anymore. They call me the gardener. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. I'm sure Uncle Jim will smile soon. I'm almost ready to show him the secret place. July 4th, 1936. Dearest Mama, Papa, and Grandma, I am bursting with happiness. The entire city seems so beautiful, especially this morning. The secret place is ready for Uncle Jim. At noon, the store will close for the holiday, and then we'll bring him up to the roof. I've tried to remember everything you ever taught me about beauty. Love to all, Lydia Grace. P.S. I can already imagine Uncle Jim's smile.
So this is a good time for us to pause because we got one of our answers. Not every time that you make an inference will you actually find the answer later on, but we did with the flowers in the window box. For those of you that guessed on number 3 about those window boxes and how Lydia was going to plant flowers in there, you were right. Which totally makes sense because she's a gardener. She loves to plant things. In fact, she's still getting seeds and plants from her grandma, and Emma, it says, is actually helping her now, planting flowers. There's something else going on too. If you look at the bakery, full of people, the awning, that structure above the window, it seems to be fixed up a little bit. And she says that Uncle Jim almost smiled today. So if you were guessing why Uncle Jim doesn't smile, maybe it does have to do with his bakery and how things just weren't going very well. Well, I think the next page is the best one because that one really shows it for us. Look at how full the bakery is. Look at how there's all these people out front shopping. Inside and outside the bakery, it's full of people. In fact, it says Lydia is planting flowers and things for some of the neighbors even. She's doing so well at sprucing things up and making things look festive and happy by using these flowers to brighten up the place. There is one other thing going on that you don't know because it's part of American history, U.S. history. Back in the 1930s, maybe you've heard of this, there was a thing called the Great Depression. And the country at the time was in a really, really bad spot. People were out of work. There wasn't a whole lot of money to be spent. People certainly didn't have extra money to spend on things like donuts and pastries and fun stuff like cakes. So the Great Depression happened in the 1930s, and finally we came out of it as a country. Kind of like in some ways right now, how there's a lot of people that are out of work or out of jobs. They can't find places to make money. And people that do have businesses, it's not easy right now. That's kind of like where we are right now too, and as a country. So Lydia Grace came out during the Great Depression. Maybe that's another thing you can infer about. Did Uncle Jim actually ask Lydia to come and stay with him? Or did Mama and Papa, way back at the beginning of the story, have to send Lydia to go live with Uncle Jim because they just didn't have enough money to support her, to keep her at home with them? Interesting. Well, let's go on and find out about this secret place. because she is so excited for Uncle Jim to make his way up these stairs, and look at all the flowers she's planted. She is pretty much guaranteeing that Uncle Jim, when he goes up these steps to the secret place, is going to finally smile. I wonder if that's going to happen. Well, let's do one more inference. Let's pause for a second. Make one last guess. First of all, try to infer what you think is going to be up on top of the roof. What do you think will be the scene up top? Secondly, try to infer whether Uncle Jim will actually smile or not. Do you think Lydia has finally done it? Do you think she has spread enough happiness that Uncle Jim will finally smile? Let's pause before we finish the story one last time. So looking at this next page, there isn't any writing to go along with it, so we can only infer from the pictures. I now understand why David Small won the Caldecott Honor Book Award for this. What a great job of illustrating and drawing these pictures to help us to infer and understand what's going on. Lydia, with the help of Emma and Ed, created this beautiful picnic area. Here they have it all set up for them with watermelon, it looks like, some food for like a picnic lunch. There's Otis, probably waiting for a scrap or something. And look at all the beautiful flowers. She spent all this time getting her secret place, there's those stairs, cleaning things up and making it festive and fun and happy. Certainly Uncle Jim is going to smile at this, I would think. Well, not yet, but we still have one page to go. Let's find out.
July 11th, 1936. Dear Mama, Papa, and Grandma, my heart is pounding so hard, I'm sure the customers can hear it downstairs. At lunch today, Uncle Jim put the closed sign on the door and told Ed and Emma and me to go upstairs and wait. He appeared with the most amazing cake I've ever seen, covered in flowers. I truly believe that cake equals 1,000 smiles. And then he took your letter out of his pocket with the news of Papa's job. I'm coming home. Love to all, and see you soon. Lydia Grace. P.S. Grandma, I've given all of my plants to Emma. I can't wait to help you in your garden again. We gardeners never retire.
So the final question, we just never quite found out. Why do you think Uncle Jim doesn't smile? And that's true about some of the stories that you'll read. You'll make inferences and you'll never quite know what the answers are. You can only infer and do your best with inference to understand it. I think we had some really good inferences about Uncle Jim and why he doesn't smile. But at the end of the story, you could find out from the letter that Papa's got a job. Remember that Great Depression and how people just didn't have a lot of money? Well, Uncle Jim's bakery is definitely coming back. His business is returning. But for Lydia, it means she has to go back home. So you see, Emma's all sad, of course. They enjoyed having Lydia with them. And I bet if you looked at that picture, you could infer that Uncle Jim did too. Lydia was kind of like a ray of sunshine, and everything that she did made people happy. In fact, even Uncle Jim, I bet, was happy. He didn't ever smile, though. That is odd. He never did smile. But remember on the date or on the page before, he brought this cake out, and Lydia said that cake equals 1,000 smiles. So even though he didn't actually smile, to her, it felt like 1,000 smiles. Well, I hope you enjoyed this story. I hope you worked on some inferencing and understanding that that's kind of the fun about reading, is to infer, to make guesses, to check and see if you are right or not. Maybe to change your inferences as you find out more in the story. All right. Well, have a good day. We will see you again tomorrow.